The Loretta Young Show.
You believe there are always two sides to every story. Well, some people claim there are three sides. Their side, your side, and the right side. Our story tonight opens in the offices of the local radio station in the small town of Mapleville. You mean you want me to write a half-hour political speech?
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know anything about politics.
Well, you don't need to know anything about politics. Now, Mr. Kleiner here will tell you roughly what he wants to say, and then you just put it into the right words.
See, I've never gone in much for public speaking.
Mr. Smith, I don't think I should start right off in this town getting mixed up in local politics. Really, I don't.
Mr. Kleiner wants to advertise on our station, and he'll pay for the time, just like any other advertiser. So why shouldn't we write a commercial for him if he wants it, the same as we do for the others?
His commercial?
Uh-huh.
Well, I thought we were talking about a half-hour speech.
So what's the half-hour speech? It's nothing but a sales pitch. He wants to sell himself, just like Pixelated Pixley wants to sell his used cars.
Oh. In other words, it's just a part of my job. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Well, now, look, I told you when you came here you'd find working in a small radio station very different from working in a big advertising agency.
Yes, you did.
I'm not asking you to vote for Mr. Kleiner. I'm not asking you to go out and campaign for Mr. Kleiner. I'm just asking you to write a speech for Mr. Kleiner. A professional service for a cash customer.
Oh. Well, I guess that doesn't sound too unreasonable.
Well, good. Now, I'm trying to clear the 6:30 to 7 slot on Tuesday night. Now, you two, go ahead. I'll go back to my office.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Smith. Well, would you like to take time right now, Mr. Kleiner, to tell me what you want?
Well, I guess now is as good a time as any. Mrs. Evans.
Yes.
Let me just say one thing right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care whether you use this in the speech or not, but you can use your own judgment about that. I don't know exactly how to say this, but... Well, my running for mayor, you might get the idea that I want to be a big shot. Well, that doesn't enter into it at all. In fact, that part doesn't even appeal to me.
Well, what part of it does appeal to you?
Well, you came here from Chicago.
Yes.
Mapleville probably doesn't mean very much to you. It's pretty much like any other small town. But to me, it's something special. Mm-hmm. It's my hometown.
Oh, well, I understand that all right.
You see, it was my grandfather who surveyed the original town site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they figured then it would be the county seat. Yeah, they had some big plans for this town. You take notice sometime. You see, we've got a lot of advantages here. Yeah, they figured all the angles when they picked this town site. All the angles but one. They never figured that a bunch of old fogies would get a stranglehold on this place and try and squeeze the life out of it. Just a bunch of hidebound old reactionaries.
Well, now, I presume, Mr. Kleiner, that you are now referring to your political opponent. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. Come here, I want to show you something.
Oh.
You see that vacant piece of property over there?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
2 years ago, we could have had a big paper mill go in there. If it hadn't been for old man Alberts on the planning commission, it'd be there right today. And do you realize that less than 1/4 of the boys who graduated from high school here stayed on in Mapleville?
No.
There just aren't any jobs here. I wanted the paper mill to come in because I think that a boy ought to have the right to stay on in his hometown if that's what he wants. A town has got to grow if it's going to take care of its people. Mm-hmm. And when an old fogey like Jake Alberts can sew up a town and stunt its growth, by golly, I think it's time something should be done about it.
Mr. Kleiner, you know you express yourself very well. Go on, tell me more.
Well, the way I see it, now, if we brought in some new industry, we've got plenty of vacant property.
There. I think I've got about everything I need, Mr. Kleiner. I'll try to get a rough draft of this out by this afternoon, and then you can drop by in the morning and go over it with me.
Oh, not tomorrow. I'm dead. Yeah, I've got to check up on a new job way out in the valley.
Oh.
Yeah, we're building a new school out there.
Well, the only other alternative is my house tonight.
Are you sure it's not an imposition?
Will have you any better ideas?
No.
Good, then my house tonight.
What time?
Oh, anytime after 8:30. I've got one small fry I've got to tuck into bed first.
See you tonight.
Yes, fine.
We in Mapleville are blessed with the room to grow. And I say to you that we have the right to grow, expand, prosper, and furthermore...
Mr. Kleiner, you're just reading words. Now, don't emphasize the word. Try to get the whole picture in your mind. Now, just stand there and pretend you're speaking to someone. Now, go ahead from the top.
I'm just not very good at this sort of thing.
Well, you will be. You just need a little practice, that's all. Go ahead.
You know, I'd rather take a whipping than go through that.
But...
Maybe I'm not cut out to be a public speaker.
Oh. Why don't you just sit down for a few minutes and smoke a cigarette? You'll feel better.
I think I will. You think I ought to forget about this speech making?
No, Mr. Kleiner. You're going to make that speech. If necessary, you're going to make lots of speeches. And I'm going to help you. What's more important is, I want to help you.
Thank you.
You see, one of these days, my son will be graduating from the high school here. And he'll get a job here. He'll live here, maybe, if he wants to. And, well, since he's all I've got left in the world, I want to do everything in my power to make this a good place for him to be in.
He's a good-looking boy.
Yes, he is. But what I'm trying to say, Mr. Kleiner, is I think it's wonderful what you're trying to do. It's so completely unselfish. Now, I can't vote for you because I haven't lived in this town long enough, but I want you to know that I'm behind you 100%.
Then would you do just one thing for me?
Oh, certainly.
Would you call me Al instead of Mr. Kleiner? Everybody in town calls me Al.
Yes, I'd be delighted, Al.
Thank you.
And I'm Judy.
Judy?
Well, you want to try it again now? Right from the top. And I'll time it this time. Up.
All right.
Ready? Go.
We in Mapleville are blessed with the room to grow. And I say to you that we have the right to grow. Surely our city deserves something more than an honored place among the ghost towns of the past. Can we just sit by quietly while the door to opportunity is slammed shut and padlocked by old Jake Alberts?
Mrs. Evans. Mrs. Evans.
Oh, yes?
This is Jake Alberts. The other candidate for mayor? He's about half an hour on Wednesday night. Wants you to write a speech for him.
He wants me to write his speech?
Sure. You're not too busy, are you?
Well, no, but...
I could come back later if you want.
Oh, no. No, it's not that, Mr. Alberts. It's just that... would you mind excusing us for a moment? May I see you alone, please?
Excuse me.
Now, what do you think I am?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, how do you expect me to write for one and then turn right around and write for the other one?
Well, look, you write all the ads for 3 different furniture stores, all competing with each other, 4 different car dealers, and 2 theaters.
Yes, but that's different.
Why is it different?
All right. If you want to know, I think that Al Kleiner should win this election hands down. He's not looking for anything for himself. He is simply concerned with the welfare of his hometown and what Mr. Alberts is trying to do to it.
Judy, this is a radio station. It's up to us to provide equal facilities for both the candidates. And if we write a speech for one, we've got to write a speech for the other.
We do?
Sure we do.
Oh. Well, what would happen if Mr. Alberts didn't happen to like the kind of speech I'd write for him?
Well, the best thing to do is remember that Mr. Alberts is a cash customer, the same as Mr. Kleiner, and entitled to the same service. And if we help one more than we help the other, that isn't equal facilities, is it?
Well, if you put it that way.
Oh, I do put it that way.
Oh. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mr. Alberts, would you just sit down here, please, and give me a general idea of what you want to say in your speech?
Well, it's not going to be too easy.
But that's all right. I have plenty of time.
I want you to know this before you start writing.
Yes.
I have a lot of respect for young Kleiner. He's a good boy. He means well, just got a distorted viewpoint, that's all.
A distorted viewpoint, Mr. Alberts?
He's like a lot of people that get to thinking the size and quality of the same thing. This is a bigger town, so it must be a better town. Shucks. There are towns all over the United States fairly busting at the seams, trying to get more business, more industry, and they scramble all over each other, trying to pick up an extra dollar. And what do they really get? More traffic, more juvenile delinquency. You lived in a big city, Mrs. Evans. You know what it's like.
Yes, but...
I understand that you have a young son. Yes. And I want to tell you, this is a good town for a boy. A great place for a boy to grow up. We're a small town, and in a small town, people have time to be friendly. Isn't that maybe why you moved here, Mrs. Evans? To give your boy a chance to grow up in a quiet, peaceful little town. Come here, Mrs. Evans. I want you to see something.
Yes.
You see that field over there with the beach beyond?
Yes.
It's a wonderful place for a boy. Swimming in the surf, digging clams, soaking up a lot of fresh air and sunshine. Living the way God meant for boys to live. And do you want to know something, young lady?
What?
If it hadn't been for me, there might have been a big, ugly old paper mill standing right there today. And so darn much traffic that your boy might not even be safe on his bicycle. Now, what do you think of that?
Well, right now, Mr. Alberts, I don't know what I think.
Frantic pace of industrial prosperity. But if he wants to live in that kind of a city, let him pack up and move.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good, I think.
Say, Judy, that's good. That's real good.
Oh.
Hey, you know, from your reaction at first, I was afraid that you might not try too hard. You know, pull your punches a little bit.
Mm.
And we couldn't afford to tip the scales either way, not even a little bit.
No.
But that is real good.
I know. See, the trouble is, wherever I find even a little bit of good, I just can't let go of it. And there's an awful lot of good on both sides.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Yes? Oh.
Hi, Judy. I just heard Albert's speech on the radio.
Oh.
You didn't happen to hear it, did you?
Well, yes, of course.
Oh, boy, he really lit into me, didn't he?
Oh. Oh, you think so?
I sure do.
Oh.
I wonder who wrote his speech. It's a cinch he didn't do it himself.
I did.
You?
Mm-hmm.
You wrote his speech
Yes, I did.
after writing mine?
Well, yes.
But I don't get it.
Well, it's very simple. It's just part of my job. You know that. Well, we could get into all sorts of trouble at the station, writing a speech for one candidate and then refusing to write one for the other one.
Yes, but I thought the other night.
What?
Well, I thought maybe it was something more than just a job as far as you were concerned. Well, I guess I really made a sap out of myself, didn't I?
No, Al. No, not at all.
I don't know why it should mean anything to you anyhow. I'm sorry.
Al, wait a minute. I want to try to explain something to you. I guess I'm kind of an odd person. Because, well, as far as my work is concerned, anyway, I just can't do anything halfway. It doesn't seem to make any difference what it is or who it's for, but every time I put a clean sheet of paper into my typewriter, I have to do the very best job I know how. Can you understand that?
Yeah, but, well, it is sort of confusing.
I'll say it is. Well, I wrote the commercials for J.J. Codfish, for 3 years, and I'd sit there writing one of those commercials, and, I just got so hungry for codfish cakes, I couldn't stand it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then I get home and suddenly remember that I couldn't even stand the smell of the stuff. Well, it's silly, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's me all over, and I can't help it.
You mean, then, you don't really believe all that malarkey you put into old man Albert's speech?
Right now, I'm not quite sure what I believe, but what I'm trying to say is that At our meeting the other night, I meant what I said.
You did?
Yes.
Well, then I'll go on the air again tomorrow night.
Oh.
Can you get me a speech ready by then?
Of course. But we've got to understand each other now. You won't hold it against me if I do what I have to do the best way I know how.
You mean writing more speeches for Alberts? Raking me over the coals again?
Maybe.
Well, nobody's going to pay any attention to that old goat anyhow. No matter what you have him say.
Oh.
Now, you just get busy and write me a speech, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. And make it a real scorcher, huh?
Yes, I will, Ralph. Good night.
Good night.
Real scorcher.
And I gaze with suspicion, my friends, upon a man who would fill our civic bloodstream with the embalming fluid of neglect. Albert's arguments are typical of his outmoded, antiquated, old-fashioned way of thinking. Surely we must realize big industry supports and makes possible more and better school and recreational facilities. What is Jake Alberts trying to do? Deny us the right to honest toil?
And I gaze with suspicion on young Kleiner, who tells us how much he loves his hometown, and then hurries on to tell us how it ought to be changed, how he will change it if he's elected mayor. What is Al Kleiner trying to do? Despoil the town he grew up in?
Well, how's it going now, Judy?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm developing a split personality.
Oh, remember, it's just a job. You have to keep an impersonal attitude.
That sounds so easy.
Well, suppose you were a professional ball player and you got swapped in the middle of the season. One day you're playing for New York, the next day you're playing for Brooklyn. But you give it all you got and you don't worry about it.
Well, now, that's one of the two reasons I didn't become a professional ball player. Nothing, it was just a joke.
I just want you to know, I think you're doing a swell job.
Thank you. Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
which one do you think is right?
That is not my department.
Well, what do you think people think? Impartial people who listen to both of them and then make their choice.
Judy, remember what I told you? This is a radio station. Just so long as they listen.
Yeah. Oh. Mrs. Evans here. Oh, yes. Yes, Mr. Price. Yes, we got it right here. We're going to put it in the 9 o'clock bulletin. I'll read it to you. It says, don't miss the Mammoth Bake Sale. Cakes and pies, St. Victor's Schoolyard, 3 o'clock Sunday. That's right. Mr. Price, did you by any chance happen to listen to Al Kleiner's speech on Tuesday night?
Sure did. Boy, he really poured it on. I never knew Al had it in him.
And did you listen to Mr. Albert's speech last night?
That old windbag, I snap off the radio the minute he comes on.
You do?
Yeah, well, thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, this is Mrs. Crookshank.
Miss Crookshank? Yes, it's Miss Evans. I wanted to ask you, have you been listening to any of the speeches by the candidates for mayor on this station?
Oh, I surely have. I haven't missed one of Mr. Albert's talk.
I tell you, we're mighty lucky to have a man like that in this town.
Well, what about Mr. Kleiner's speeches? I mean, what's been your reaction to them?
That young whippersnapper? I'd throw my radio out the window.
Or I'd waste my time listening to the likes of him.
Yeah, I see. Well, thanks, Miss Crookshank.
According to the latest unofficial returns, Al Kleiner and Jake Alberts each have 2,328 votes, believe it or not.
Well, gentlemen,
As you know, it's provided in the city charter that we as members of the council are charged with the responsibility of selecting a mayor in the event of a tie vote, such as occurred in the last election. Now, nothing in the charter provides that we must confine our choice to the candidates who are on the ballot. So we've called you down here, Mrs. Evans, to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
Now, we've had at least a dozen meetings with Mr. Kiner and Mr. Alberts, and you were positively the only person that both men will approve.
Approve for what?
Well, we wonder how you'd feel about serving as mayor.
Me?
By the time you take office in January, you will have established the necessary residence.
Oh, no, gentlemen. I appreciate the honor of being asked, but, oh, my goodness, if you went down the list of people who ever lived in Mapleville, you couldn't find anyone with fewer qualifications than I have.
Oh, now, we don't believe that.
Oh, believe me, it's true. Oh, yeah, I know from bitter experience I am a very gullible person. I have very little sales resistance. Oh, well, it's bad enough if I go out for lunch. I buy a purse that I don't even need, but, well, what would it be like if you had a mayor who went out buying steam shovels and, animals for your zoo just because somebody had a good sales pitch?
But we feel since you wrote the speeches for both candidates so successfully, you'd have the whole picture pretty well in mind.
But, gentlemen, I just put the candidates' ideas into words. They were their ideas, you see. No, thank you very much, but for the benefit of all concerned, I must decline.
Well, we certainly appreciate your honesty, Mrs. Evans. And, of course, you're free to leave if you wish, but that still leaves us with the problem of selecting a mayor.
Well, I realize that.
I wonder, since you did write the speeches for both candidates and you know both men equally well, in your opinion, just which one would make the best mayor?
Well, I've wondered about that myself, Mr. Tyler, and in all honesty, I don't know. I think that both men have some excellent ideas, and both have some mistaken ideas, but, well, what's more important is that I think most people make a mistake by listening to only one side of a political debate. Well, I mean, surely we can't learn very much by listening to someone tell us something that we already know. Now, there must be some way for this town to enjoy its normal growth and yet remain a happy and pleasant place in which to live. But I don't think it's going to be solved by its citizens listening to only one side of the issue. Well, forgive me for going on this way, gentlemen, but you did ask me.
Well, that's quite all right, Mrs. Evans. And we do thank you for coming in this evening. We may not be any closer to getting a new mayor, but, well, we do appreciate your honesty and sincerity.
Thank you. That's all?
Yes, thanks.
Well, good night, gentlemen.
Good night. Good night.
Mm-hmm. Yes? Oh!
Hope I didn't get you out of bed.
Oh, no, not at all. I was just reading.
The reason I came by, the city council just named the new mayor.
Well, congratulations are in order?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Al, I'm so glad.
Jake Alberts is going to be mayor.
Oh?
Yeah, but the city council put me in charge of the planning commission. Yeah, they said they would back me up within reason if I wanted to go out and get any new industry.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. Come on over here and sit down. I want to hear all about it. Now, what do they mean by within reason? What does that mean?
Well, for example, Alberts and I sat down and had a long talk. You know, it's a funny thing. Some of his ideas aren't so bad at that. Yeah, we're going to make that beach into a big public park. And there's plenty of room on the other side of town for any new industry. So you see, now Mr. Alberts and I both get what we've been fighting for.
Hey, I was right. It does pay to listen to the other fellow, doesn't it?
Now, here is Miss Young.
Thank you. It's the God-given privilege of every American to listen and choose. By all means, let's enjoy our privilege. Well, good night. See you next week.